12 total moves were made by the Bills yesterday, and they weren't all thank you on social media and pack your shit and go when it was time to get down to business. Mitch Trubisky back with the Bills. He was cut right after the Super Bowl by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He spent a year in Buffalo after his 4 with Chicago, 2 in Pittsburgh. He's back to back up Josh Allen. Kyle Allen was there on just a 1-year deal, I believe, unrestricted free agent. So Trubisky's back. Similar skill sets, right? That 1 year of being Josh Allen's backup was like this strange palate cleanser for Mitch Trubisky, and it created a demand for his services, and then he played. But before that, there was demand for his services. So he goes back to Buffalo, and they believe in him there as the number 2 to Josh Allen. And they need a number 2 to Josh Allen. You need somebody who can come in and get the job done if Josh Allen gets hurt. It gives them a little more willingness maybe to throw caution to the wind with Josh Allen and not be so obsessed with him, God forbid, missing a game. If he misses a game, they believe Mitch Trubisky can get it done.
Yeah, that's right. It's good for Mitch Trubisky. He needs a place, too, that believes in him as well. I think that's part of it. Between Pittsburgh and Chicago, those are 2 places that didn't really believe in him. It's hard to go out on the field and perform and be your best when you feel like, man, everybody in the stands is kind of like rooting against me, even though that I'm the quarterback of their team. And it had a little bit of that sense in both places a little bit, especially in the end in Chicago. Pittsburgh kind of the whole time. It was always like, throw an interception so Kenny Pickett can be there. Throw an interception so Kenny Pickett can be in there. Right? He throws the ball too short. He doesn't throw the ball down the field enough. We're going to bench him because he doesn't throw the ball. We're going to bench him for the guy who throws it shorter than he does, but we're not going to say anything after that. But, yeah, he was rehabilitated there in Buffalo a little bit. No doubt. Now, I think Brian Daboll had a big part of that as well because he was the offensive coordinator still there, I believe. I'm pretty sure. Right? Am I getting my mix up? I'm pretty sure.
Daboll was there.
Yeah, right.
Daboll was there. They thought he was going to go to the Giants.
So he helped, fix him or at least keep him on a straight line. Something we talked about with Josh Allen a little bit, where we felt like that's what Daboll was. Hopefully, they can find the magic touch there. But, yeah, Trubisky I still think is a valuable backup. He does still have good physical ability, right? And, like we always talk about, a somewhat similar skill set to Josh Allen to where you feel like, okay, we can still do some of the things on our offense that we do with Josh with Mitchell Trubisky, maybe just not to the same level.
The Trubisky signing in Pittsburgh is the prime example of a dynamic that we will see play out next week. There will be a guy signed by a team that needs a quarterback, and we will be under the impression that he's the week 1 starter until they draft a guy in round 1, and then the clock begins to tick on how long that guy is actually going to be the starter. And sometimes the guy doesn't play at all. Trubisky actually played for a while in 2022. Before they pivoted to Kenny Pickett, and then he played some last year after Pickett got injured before they benched him for Mason Rudolph, and that was the sign there. When they benched Trubisky and Rudolph comes in and plays better than he ever has, that's the sign that Trubisky's the odd man out. But my point is this, is we're looking at some of these mid-level guys that will land somewhere. They're going to hold up the jersey. They're going to create – remember Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, QB1. The Bears, remember the Bears in 2021, they signed Andy Dalton. He's QB1. Well, it wasn't QB1 week 1. It was Justin Fields. So I think Fields started right out of the gates. So that's what happens. And that's what happened to Trubisky. Yeah. So
actually, I don't know. I don't think he did start right out of the gates. I can't even remember that clearly there.
Find out.
I think Andy Dalton did start it a little bit, didn't he? I think he went from there. He kind of got hurt or something, and Fields came in, and then they never looked back after that, if I remember that clearly. But I did think there was a Andy Dalton period there where he was playing, or maybe I have it reversed where Fields was playing, and then they took him out and put
Fields did not start.
Yeah, okay, it was Andy Dalton, right?
I knew as I was saying it didn't sound right. I was checking myself lest I wreck myself as I was saying it. But the whole thing about calling him QB1, by halfway through the season, he was no longer QB1.
Right.
And that's just the question. When does QB1 become QB2? Once you sign the contract in free agency and then they draft a guy in round 1. And look, that's one of the ways that a team can kind of stay under the radar a little bit as to what they're going to do in round one. If you have this giant glaring need at quarterback, then the people drafting behind you know, better get in front of that team if we want a quarterback, because they're going to take this guy, so let's go get that guy instead. That's part of the gamesmanship, and it's part of the money you have to spend to perpetuate that ruse. You go out and get a mid-level veteran, and he's our starter, wink, wink, and we go out and draft a guy. We'll see that happen because we see it happen pretty much every single year.
Yeah, we do. We do. It is. It's part of the game, and I think we're going to have some of that this year. We certainly can, have some teams there where we're not sure exactly what they're going to do, whether, is it the Patriots? Will they sign a free agent and then kind of be like in that conversation? We know the New York Giants are kind of in that conversation to begin with Daniel Jones. I know a lot of people up here. Do we sign a really quality backup and just go with Daniel Jones on the quality backup? Or, do we have to make a move in the draft and move up to get a quarterback we want and then have that quarterback with Daniel Jones on the roster and go from there? That's the big conversation. But yeah, we have some teams that certainly are in that combo, right? The Atlanta Falcons at number 8. That's why we've talked about free agent possibilities, but they're another team, of course, as we sit here and go, yeah, they need a quarterback. Are they quietly under the radar trying to finagle something, do something? So it'll be interesting. It will be, to see how it all works out.
Absolutely. And, even if they signed Kirk Cousins, they would be in play potentially for a young quarterback with that 8th overall pick. It's one of the complications with Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson, and we're going to talk about him later in the program, if he truly does take $1.21 million to be someone's starter for 2024, and then they turn around and draft a guy, do you create a situation where that guy ends up being the starter at some point this season? If we're going to ride Russ until it looks like it's not going to work, and if we decide by Halloween it's not going to work, let's go ahead and develop the rookie. That's part of the risk that Russell Wilson's taking, that he's going to go somewhere, be the starter, and then lose the job to whoever else is there. Whoever else is there isn't determined until after the draft. And that's part of the leap of faith he's going to have to take. That's the roll of the dice he's going to take if he goes somewhere for the lowest possible contract, thinking and trusting what they're telling him about being the starter for all of 2024. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.